Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the concept of called file system versus DBMS. File system versus DBMS. So file system. So generally file system is nothing but how the files are organized and how the files are structured. In the same way, the DBMS is nothing but how the data is to be stored in through managing of the software. So how the file system is compared with the difference of database management system, how the file system is having a different comparisons over the database management system. So here the file system. So a file system is a software application. A file system is a software application that organizes and maintains files on storage devices. So it manages the storage and the retrieval of the data. So a file system is nothing but a software application that organizes and maintains files on a storage device. So the file system says that how the files are maintained as well as how the files are organized. So organization of files is nothing but the files are organized as like date modify, as like the size of the file, as like the name of the files, which comes first. So how the files are organized and how the files are maintained on a particular storage device. So it entirely manages for what purpose? For retrieval purpose as well as for storage purpose. So it manages the storage and the retrieval of the data. So the both. So how it organizes and how it manages, how it maintains on particular storage device. But the database management system or DBMS is a software application that allows you to access, create and manage the databases. So it doesn't say that organization and maintains files. It allows you to access, create and manage the database. It allows you to access, create and manage the database. So which is a software application. You can install it and uninstall it, but it allows only you to access, create and manage databases. Access, create, manage the databases only. So that is the main the file system encompasses and the database management system encompasses. So file system identifies, file system organizes, file system maintains all the files on particular storage device. But it manages what? It manages the storage as well as the retrieval of the process. But DBMS software application allows you to only access the database as well as creating the database as well as the manage the database So here a file system is a set of data structures, interfaces, abstractions and APIs that all work together to manage many type of files on any type of storage device. So many type of files on any type of storage devices in a consistent manner. And each operating system uses a particular file system to manage the files. So what type of file systems they manage? They can use NTFS as a file system or FAT as a file system. So file allocation table is one file system. File allocation table is one file system. And a new technology file system is one file system. So NTFS is one and FAT file system is one. So based on these two file systems, how the files are organized, how the files are maintained on different storage devices. So here manage any type of files on many type of storage devices. So manage any type of files on any type of storage devices in consistent manner. Each operating system uses the file system to manage these files. So how can we manage the files? How can we organize the files actually? So in example for file systems, you can create a marketing as one separate folder. In that you can create an application program is one folder. In that you can create the files like file 1, file 2, file 3. So that means you can organize the files, you can organize the folders in the files in different way. So manufacturing also one folder. In that folder application program is one. In that folder again file 1, file 2, file 3 are the files. Similarly inventory is one folder. In that application programming is one folder, and for this the files are managed. Similarly, payroll is one folder in which is an application program is one folder, and here file 1, file 2 is one separate folder. So the file system is organized in consistent manner. Organized in consistent manner. So that identifies, that organizes, that manages all the data in consistent manner. Consistent manner. So here, a file system is a technique for arranging the files in a storage medium like a hard disk, pen drive, or DVD, etc. So for this all, you can able to store the data. You can able to store the data. So here, file system is a technique of arranging the files. Is a technique of arranging how you are going to arrange the files. It helps you to organize the data and allows easy retrieval of files when they are required. So whenever you are required, then it helps you to organize the data and allows easy retrieval of files. It mostly consists of different types of files like MP3 files, MP4 files, text files, document files, etc. that are all grouped into directories. A file system enables you to handle the way of reading and writing data to the storage medium. That is nothing but storage device. So how you are going to read the data from storage devices, how you are going to write the data to the storage devices. So reading and writing operations to the storage devices is also enables you to handle. It is directly installed into the computer with the operating system such as Windows and Linux operating system. So by default, the file system software application has been installed on your operating system like Windows as well as Linux. We are coming to the DBMS. So DBMS database management system is a software for storing and retrieving users' data while considering appropriate security measures. And it consists of a group of programs that manipulate the database. It consists of a group of programs that manipulates the database. So you need to perform different types of commands, different types of queries, different types of functions you need to apply to manipulate the data. And the DBMS accepts the request for data from an application and instruct the database engine to provide the specific data. So the database management system accepts the request for data from an application and instruct the database management system engine to provide specific data. So you need to put a lot of amount of data, but it is going to ask to DBMS engine to retrieve specific data. In a large systems, DBMS helps users and other third-party software to store and retrieve the data. So to do this all, a DBMS is required. And here, features of the file system. What are the features of file system? And how we can say that the file system is somewhat similar to the database management system, or file system is more advantageous than the DBMS file system. So how can we say that? So here, the features of file system. Here are important elements of the file system. It helps you to store data in a group of files. So the file system maintains what you need to store group of files. So like file 1, file 2, file 3, all in one folder. So files data are dependent on each other. So a file must be saved with one place must be related with another folder. And C++ and COBOL languages were used to design the files. So to design this file system, C++, and COBOL languages are used to design these file systems. And it is supported for the sharing of the files also. So the file system supports sharing of options also. So shared file system support also there. And the fast file system recovery. So to recover any loss of files, the file system must be immediately accessed for the recovery of the files. While comparing to the features of DBMS, here are essential features of DBMS are a user accessible catalog of the data. So a user accessible catalog of the data. So user can access the data which if user is created. The next, transaction support. So transaction support nothing but what? So to commit the data as well as to granting the data, to rollbacking the data, all these will be supported as part of the transaction. Next, concurrency control with recovery services. Concurrency control with recovery services also available. And authorization services. Authorization services are nothing but what? So if you want to view the data, if you want to read the data or modify the data, then you are the authorized user. You are the authorized person only. If you are the authorized person only, then you can able to do that all. The value of data is the same at all places. The value of the data is the same at all places because of all the data are stored like a tables. All the data are stored like a table. So the value of data is the same at all places. And it offers support for data communication. And independent utility services. That means the database utilities are independent. That towards for developing, that towards for inserting, demonstrating, and every for operations. It allows multiple users to share a file at the same time. It does not supporting sharing of the file, but it allows multiple users to share a file. At the same time, but not to sharing of the file to all the users at the same time. So here the advantages of the file system. So here are some pros or benefits of the file systems. So what are those? Enforcement of development and maintenance standards. So the file system develops an enforcement of development and maintenance standards. It helps you to reduce redundancy also. That means it maintains non-redundancy. So it should be available for only the unique data. Avoid inconsistency across file maintenance. To get the integrity of data independence. So it avoid inconsistency across all the files maintenance. That means all the files are to be organized at a particular place. At that moment, there is a chance to inconsistency occur. So to avoid that inconsistency across the file management system, to get the integrity of data independence, to achieve this all, what inconsistency of the data, integrity of the data independence, to achieve all these, the file maintenance should be in perfect way. And firm theoretical foundations, that means from the relational model. So firm theoretical foundation is also there for the relational model. And it is more efficient and costless than a DBMS in certain situations. So it is a more efficient and costless. So it is not chargeable for any file system, and it is more efficient and costless than DBMS in certain situations. The design of file processing is simpler than designing database. So the designing is also very complex in the DBMS, but while coming to the file system, design of the file processing is simple than the designing of the database. So it is simple than the designing of the database. So advantages of database management system. So what are the advantages? So DBMS offers a variety of techniques to store and retrieve the data. So to storing and to retrieving the data, DBMS offers different variety of techniques like applying commands. Applying queries, and uniform administration procedures for the data. So all the administration procedures are to be unique or identified. And application programmers never exposed to details of data are represented under storage. So application programmers, those who are using the database, are never exposed to details of data representation under storage. And a DBMS uses various powerful functions. Various powerful functions are powerful queries to store and retrieve data efficiently. To store and retrieve data efficiently. Offers data integrity and security. By default, it offers data integrity and security. It is designing based on the design model. Based on the design model, database design model, it offers the data integrity and security. The DBMS implies integrity constraints to get a high level of protection against prohibited access to the data. So the DBMS implies integrity constraints to get a high level of protection against prohibited access to the data. And reduced application development time. So it reduces the application development time because all the data is to be configured properly. So as per the configuration properly, it identifies that it reduces the application development time. It reduces the application development time. And it consumes lesser space. While coming to the file system, it takes a lot of space to design that one. But based on the database design, it takes a less amount of time. So reduction of redundancy. That means it supports or it applies for the non-duplicates. And data independence. So tables or any data. The data is independent for all the different areas. And applications of file system. So here are important applications of the file system. So the first one is language specific runtime libraries. So to specify any types of languages you can apply for all the supporting of the files to be supported. So runtime libraries are also available. And the API programs using it to make requests of the file system. So API programs also it accepted to execute. It is used for data transfer and positioning. So where the data is actually located, where you want to locate it, and how the speed is going to be processed to transfer the data. And it helps you to update the metadata also. And managing directories also. So creating the directories, managing multi-level directories, single-level directories, directory level, hierarchy of the directory level also managing. So that is the main application, main advantage, main feature that is over than the DBMS. Managing directories is very important. And applications of the DBMS system. So applications of the DBMS system. So here admission system, examination system, library system. So admission system, examination system, library system. These three are maintained. So admission system, examination system, and library system. So for this, so those who want to create the database admission system, those who want to create the commands or executing the commands examination system, and those who want to retrieve the data and maintain the data is to be library system. And payroll and personal management system also. Payroll and personal management system is how to maintain that all personal management system you can maintain in the DBMS. Accounting system, hotel reservation system, airlines reservation system. So these are all in the places we can use the DBMS as a application. And it is used in the banking system for customer information, account activities, payments, deposits, loan. For every this amount of data, we can create the database, and in that database applications we can use this all. And use it for airlines for reservations and schedules. So in the reservation systems, in the airlines reservations, schedules, departures, and everywhere we can use this database management system as an application. And the system also used by universities to keep all records, monthly bills, maintaining balance sheets, and etc. So everywhere the DBMS is used to store all the records that is entering manually applies. And the finance for storing information about stock, sales, and purchases of financial instruments like stocks and bonds. So these are for the finance of storing information about stock and purchases of financial instruments like stocks and the bonds. For all these also, the database management system having like a software application for the maintaining of all these for maintaining of all these. So these are the applications that we are considering over the file system and DBMS system. File system and DBMS system. So disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of file system? So here are some drawbacks of the file system. Each application has its data file. Each application has its data file. So the same data may have to be recorded and stored many times. The same data may have to be recorded and stored many times. That means you can create a more same file name in the multiple directories. The same file name in the multiple directories. Data dependency in the file processing system. Data dependency file processing system are data dependent, but the problem is incompatible with the file format. That means the files are saved, but the duplication files are not saved, but only the format is different, then it is saved. So here the problem is what? Incompatible with the file format. And limited data sharing. So to share the data also, it is having the limited connectivity or limited size also. The problem with the security. The files are having the less security more than the database. And time consuming. So to creating data Excel sheets or Word sheets, to creating all this, to do all manual works, it takes time consuming. It allows you to maintain the record of the big firm having a large number of items. So a large number of items, if you are having large number of items, then maintaining the record of big firm is also a different ways, and requires a lot of labor work also. Lot of labor work to do. Required lots of labor work to do. So to do this all, we need to having more than one people. Instead of doing all this, we can manage all these operations with the help of database software. So these are all some disadvantages. Well, coming to the disadvantages of DBMS also. So the main thing is what cost of hardware and software of database management system is quite high, which increases the budget of your organization. So to manage this, to buy this, to do this all, the hardware and software of the DBMS is somewhat quite high. And most database management systems are often complex systems. So most database management systems are often complex systems. So the training for users to use the database management system is required. So training for users also, we need to use the database management system. The use of the same program at a time by many users sometimes lead to the loss of some data. And DBMS cannot perform sophisticated calculations also. Data sets begin to grow large as it provides more predictable query response time. So giving the response, we need to wait for some time. So that more predictable response time. It required a processor with the high speed of the data processing. It required a processor with the high speed of data processing. The database can fail because of power failure or whole system stops. The database can fail if because of the power failure or system fails. The cost of DBMS is dependence on the environment, on function, or recurrent and annual maintenance cost. recurrent or annual maintenance cost. So these are all some disadvantages of the DBMS system. And differences. What are the differences that we compared with the help of different terms? So the basic differences, differentiation on what? Data redundancy and inconsistency, ease of data access, data independency, atomicity, concurrency control, recovery, security, cost. So here file processing system. So the file system is in the data redundancy and inconsistency. The problem of duplication and inconsistency in data exists in FPS, file processing system. And here there is no redundancy and inconsistency in data due to the centralization of the database. So here the data duplication problems occur, but here there is no redundancy. And accessing the data in a file system is not as easy as DBMS. So the file system is not easy as the DBMS accessing. But accessing data is easier in DBMS as compared to a file system. There is no data independence in a file system. So all the data will be duplicated and in a different files, different folders. But data independence exists in DBMS. Data independence exists in DBMS. And atomicity is not present in the file system. So atomicity properties are not represented in the file system. But in the DBMS provides atomicity of the transactions also. Atomicity of the transaction also. And it does not have any concurrency control. It does not have any concurrency control. But DBMS has its own concurrency control. DBMS has its own concurrency control. File system does not provide the facility of recovery in case of data loss. It uses recovery options, but it does not able to recovery of all the data. But DBMS provides the facility of data backup and recovery. So data backup and recovery both. Data security is less in file processing system. Data security is less in processing system. DBMS offers high data security. DBMS offers high security. And the file system is relatively cheaper as compared to a DBMS. So, well, cost wise, it is cheap because of the file system is application is inbuilt with the operating system, but DBMS is a costlier as compared to a file system. So somewhat it is somewhat comparing with the help of file processing system. DBMS is somewhat costlier. So this is all about differences with the help of the symptoms: data redundancy process, ease of data access, data independence and atomicity and concurrency control, recovery process, security process, and cost process. These are all some different synonyms, different processes that we are going to face. So this is about our difference between file processing system and DBMS. So once again we revise the topic which we discussed in this session. So here the file system, what is meant by file system actually, and what are the different types of file systems. So here file system is nothing but what? A software application that organizes and maintains of files on particular storage devices. So how the files are maintained, how the files are organized. A DBMS is an application that allows you to access, create and manage the databases. Create the management of the databases. So there are two types of file systems are there: NTFS and FAT file system. NTFS and FAT file system. So file allocation table is one file system and new technology file system is one file system. So here the file system is a technique of arranging files in storage mediums like hard disks and pen drives and DVDs. So it is directly installed on the computer with the operating system such as Windows and Linux. But while comparing to the file system, DBMS is additional software which is you need to install on your system. So here the features of the file system. What are the different features and how the files to design the files, what languages we are using. So C or C++ or COBOL languages are used to design the databases, design the files. But in the features, there are different types of features are there: centralization of the data, authorization of the services, It allows multiple users to share files at the same time. Advantages of the file system. So how it is advantages more than the DBMS. It helps you to reduce redundancy, avoid data independence. Design of file processing is inserting simple than the designing database. And here advantages of the DBMS. So uniform administration processor, they maintains data integrity and security, consumes less space. So like that, some advantages are there. And similarly, application of the files. So what are the applications? How it manages the directories, how it performs the data transfer, how it takes the positions to store the data, and in the application of DBMS also. So where we can use the DBMS as a application for the different purposes in the organizations, in the industries, in the library systems, university systems, everywhere. And here disadvantages. So limited data sharing is a one data disadvantage of file system. Required lot of work, lot of men's, lot of work, lot of labor is required to do the work. So the problem with the security also there, and it is also taking the time consuming process. And disadvantage of DBMS also. So cost of hardware and software is also high compared with compared with the file systems. So like that, some disadvantages are there, and all the differences. So how you are going to differ major comparisons, the DBMS, in what way DBMS is good and what way file processing system is good. So this is all about file system versus DBMS. Both are to store the data, but how the file is organized and how the file is managed is different in the different factors, in the way of different factors. Thank you all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.